Boring. Are you serious?
Good day, everyone. I know you might not be able to hear yourself, but I will elevate everyone to the main platform now. It's because of the cleanliness of the recording. Hello, can you hear me now? You can unmute yourself and talk now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Hello. I hope we all.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Please,
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Last week, I had issues about the recording. The audio was not all that smooth. Please, I will still say it again. If you are not talking, please just unmute yourself, and if you are not talking, mute yourself. Once you want to talk, unmute and talk. By the time you are done, you can mute up again. I've muted myself. Yeah.
I can't mute myself.
And we'll start live session. Today is much of conversation.
You don't. I ain't go request me on mute. You send me message like.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Legally, Sadiq, I think you've not joined your audio. That means I might not be able to allow you to talk from here. You might need to join your audio first. Okay. Or if you want to say anything, if you want to talk, you can just raise up your hand. If you have issues with your audio, I can do some tweakings at my hand. Now, let me start the class. It's my PowerPoint. Sorry. I'm coming. Yeah, we can start now. I will start sharing my screen. Please, if you want to talk and I've not allowed you to talk, you can just raise up your hands. Yeah, also the front slide. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you all
Yes,
see
sir.
okay, can you all see the front slide? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now today's conversation is on module 1, which is on introduction to uh to energy in buildings. And as section is much conversation now. In going forward, we'll be using some video resources to do some learning this morning, and we'll be having conversation on some of the issues that came up on all those from those videos. Now, for a start, let us look at this slide. Now, I gave us this problem scenario in the in module 1. I said, imagine yourself in a fully furnished house with all equipment. You plan to visit your friend who lives 10 kilometers away from your house in the next 2 hours. Within the 2 hours, you have to prepare for the visit. You are to have your bath with warm water, prepare your lunch, iron your clothes, use the vacuum cleaner, etc. Now, and I want us to discuss on what are those activities, the activities that will be done. What's the amount of energy that these activities will possibly consume? Which one will consume less? Which one will consume more? And if there is one, the aim is we can always achieve less. We can always achieve more with less. That means we can achieve, we can do our ironing instead of using a iron that will consume 1,500 kilowatt. We can still use an iron that will be like 600 kilowatt or 300 kilowatt and still perform the same function. That's what we want to discuss on it today. And it says reflect on the activity that will consume the most energy and how the energy demand can be reduced. We have a first goal. If you want to talk, please unmute yourself and the floor will be yours. Yeah, Victor. Victor, thank you for listening up here. You can talk now.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Victor.
Concerning consumption of energy and the scenarios we have here, can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Like you said, we could reduce the consumption of energy by our choices of devices, our electrical appliances, like using a less power consuming iron for the ironing of the clothes, you could use a kettle of a lower current consumption to prepare the lunch that will be used, prepare the lunch that you will take to prepare for the visit. Then the vacuum cleaner, I'm not sure it has a very wide range of energy consumption. They are usually almost the same thing. But I could also ask, is this the basic scenarios that it could have done? Because I believe there might be other means by which it might have used the energy that might not have been considered in the preparation towards the visit.
Yeah, you can talk on any other activity that you think this person will surely do, not limited to these 4.
Oh, okay, sir. So other activities I think it could have done either without considering the energy consumption might be probably, as you can all see, it seems like a normal afternoon, and probably it ends up turning on the heater to take his bath. Probably he's feeling too lazy to use the normal lukewarm water. Then it ends up turning off the heater to heat his water for bed. Also, he might be putting on the light at that moment. He might be putting on the light at that moment, and it's daylight, and which might not have been needed. Then I don't know if we are going to also consider the design of the space. The space might not be convenient enough that the spaces are well ventilated. We will have to probably put on the AC, which would have been sorted already if the spaces were designed to allow ventilation through the house even during the day.
Yeah.
I believe those are also the little things that could have been consuming the energy at that particular moment, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for that wonderful contribution. It's very, very interesting. You nailed some of the key issues on point. On ways, little ways that we don't take cognizance of, that we still consume, that still consume much energy. As some of the comment that I got on Canvas said, leaving the light on. Maybe this guy now is about to leave house. He must ensure that all the light in the house is fully on, because this is how will I say, if this is an afternoon visit, even if it's in the evening visit and there's nobody in the house, why do we need any of the lighting to be on at that period when no one is in the house? Those are the little ways that we waste energy in the house, and we need to put a stop to it. Now I will call on Ot 6. Sorry, that is the name that I have here. You can unmute yourself to talk. Ot 6, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
You are with some of your colleagues listening to the same thing. That means you might need to move a bit away from them. The floor is yours now.
Okay, sir.
You can talk now.
Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Can you talk?
About, okay, network is bad.
Wow. Okay, let me send it. Continue.
The only issue I have in this class is that the network is like fluctuating. So I don't have any question about the energy consuming, because you already explained that when leaving the house, it's not energy efficient to leave lights on because it's not saving power that way. So offing electrical appliances when leaving the house saves lots of power. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. Think about the
Sir?
network. We will discuss. Okay, you want to say something?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll discuss it towards the end of the class today. I think we can find a better solution to it. Just if
Okay.
you hold on towards the end of the class before we round up today, please, if I forget, kindly remind me that let's discuss as class that how can we solve this challenge, a solution.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Now, I now want to challenge us now. I want to challenge and ask us as students, as student architects, what are the, with the knowledge that you've gained from this problem scenario, what are the things you can put in place to ensure that the user of this place, let's name this person Mike, to ensure that Mike have access to energy, have access to ways to use energy efficiently? Or do you get, if you can get what I'm saying now, like if you are to design a space for this person, what are the things you will do? How will your design look like? What are the features that you put into your architectural design to ensure that whoever uses that space uses energy efficiently? Okay, Oluwafemi Fashisin, you have the floor now.
Good day, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So I feel, as you have earlier said, let's say Mike now. Mike, instead of using like a 1,500 kilowatts rated iron, he can use a lesser one, about 600 kilowatts. Also, for the vacuum cleaners and other appliances.
Yeah.
For the vacuum cleaner and other appliances, you can use a lesser rated vacuum cleaner around 600 watts as well. Vacuum cleaners are rated between 500 to 2,600 to 2,700 watts. So you can use a lesser rated one as well. Though it will also perform the same functions, I think, efficiently without wasting energy. Also, they can put sensors into place that when you enter such spaces, they will automatically on the lights, and when you leave such spaces, they will automatically put off the lights. So when he's not at home or he's not around, the lights are not on, even if he forgets to put them off.
That means as an architect, we should learn how to put in, I like when you said sensors, how to design buildings with the adequate and the necessary sensors. That
yes, sir.
If peradventure the users leave the space, leave any of the equipment on, automatically it will be turned off. That's one of the ways of using light. Or 6, do you still, okay, let me call Akinyede Abiodun.
All right, good morning, sir. Good day, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. My colleague has talked about using of sensors. Okay, I will talk about what I want to say. Okay, we have a concept called smart homes. So where you can actually monitor every activity that is going on in your house or in your home, probably on your smart device. So you can actually check the kind of temperature you have in your room, the kind of the appliances that are consuming energy, how to hibernate them and put them off and all that. Okay, but then still, I would love to take a more a subtle approach to this kind of problem. As an architect, I would love to go with a concept that I will need to deal with. I mean, as less possible as the number of devices I will be using in my home.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at having a kind of home on which depending if it is a like a bungalow, I'll have I can have a courtyard in my home where I will have an adequate circulation of air. And also for if it is a duplex or a multi-story building, it's a matter of of having high-rise window to allow much light into the building and probably and also more ventilation. And also there's this concept also that I think will also work. Instead of I'm looking at the way of eliminating the use of electric iron, I mean totally if possible. That is having a kind of space in your house where you can have access to direct sunlight at every time of the day, at any time of the day. Having a space, probably you have like a yard with with an hemisphere kind of covering on top, so that at any point, at any elevation of the sun azimuth, you can always have light reflecting down to the space. So in that in that kind of process, you hanging your clothes, it dry easily because there's a studies that says that when we wash and we go through squeezing and all that, there is every tendency that we will need to iron the clothes. But when we go through the washing like that and we hang them, the studies say that we might not need to actually iron our clothes at the end of the day, and that's actually will keep the clothes to last longer. So we can have this kind of warm environment where we spread clothes and there might not be a need for dryer and for other things. And also for the use of vacuum cleaner, I would love to eliminate it by looking at the other approach we had before the invention of the vacuum cleaner, when we're talking about broom and all and brushes and all that we can use. That in fact, apart from the fact that it eliminates total energy that is being consumed through that aspect, it's also a form of exercise, for human. When they go through that every morning, it keeps them healthy. So that will work. That will work. And then there are other kind of scenarios where you have using of hot water and all that. There are some kind of solar system that we can use, in which we can have a direct emission of sunrise of sun rays into your bathtub or into your container that is containing the water you want to use to bath. So there are a lot of methods we can use to even eliminate the consumption of energy, in fact, totally. And you can have even a safe, like a green environment to live in. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. I really enjoy your contribution as well. You made mention of a lot of interventions. Another one I would say about vacuum, you can switch to vacuum that uses batteries that will be charged by energy sourced from solar. That means in your house, there will be a rule that there's no electronic vacuum is not acceptable. That means anyone that will be using vacuum cleaner in that house will have to go get the one that uses battery that can only be charged by the power that is from the solar energy. That's just, there are a lot, as you said, there are lots of ways that this can be achieved. Now, without much ado, I would like to move to the next slide. Oh, Orioluwa, do you want to say something? Sorry that I missed you.
Yes, sir. I was about to talk about the vacuum cleaner.
Feel free.
There are smart vacuum cleaners these days. They are called Roombas. They make use of 28 watts. And when they are in standby mode, they make use of 3.6 watts. And they are also rechargeable. So there is like literally little, very, very minute energy being used by these things. So the age of sweeping with broom and brushes, they are long gone. Roombas can do that quite easily. Every time there's a stain, there is dust or anything, it will automatically detect the speck of dust and go and clean it up. And it will not consume that much energy. It will not even increase your carbon footprint. So
yeah, like for that, I really like your contribution for that. Adibia, I'm designing for a student. Option of vacuuming might be far-fetched. That means the option of allowing the student to use broom would be the one that I could settle for. But if I'm designing an apartment building for middle income earners, high income earners, I can ask now, those people might not want to use the broom. As you said, is long gone. They will now be able to use, because they can afford it, they will now be able to use the rechargeable, the boom, you call it boom bar or what? The rechargeable that you talked about. That's the reason we need to, what we put, there are a lot of factors that determines as architects what we put into our spaces. A lot of factors that influences those decisions that we make, because by the time we are designing our buildings, we are making decisions for the users of those spaces. That is why as architects, we need to be cognizant, we need to think well, we need to be logical in our thinking pattern, in our thought, to ensure that as we are helping users to make decisions, the decisions we are making are sustainable and they are the ones that will not impact the environment. Thank you very much for that. We'll go to this one. I would like us to watch this YouTube video. I wanted to download it, but I think there are some copyright issues on it. I will copy it in and we'll watch it together. I will discuss. It's a short video. I think this one is around 4 or 5 minutes thereabout. Let me do something. I will stop this presentation because I have to use the same slide. Yeah. Please, if
Here's a fact that might surprise you. About 20% of all the energy we use in the US goes to power commercial buildings. Buildings like the offices and schools we use every day. So you can easily see how much energy and money we can save when our buildings are as energy efficient as possible. Today's energy-saving buildings are built with an approach to construction known as whole building design. The whole building approach works a lot like designing and manufacturing an automobile. All of the parts of the building.
So before we go ahead, can we all hear the audio?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Are designed and built to work together as a complete system instead of just as a collection of individual parts. Builders are using these concepts to meet new certification standards. Maybe you've already heard of these LEED certified buildings. From the very beginning of each project, a team addresses all aspects of the building's construction. The team includes architects, engineers, developers, and owners, and even the people who will occupy and work in the building. Together, they set goals for energy efficiency, performance, and creative use of space. By adopting this approach, buildings can be up to 70% more efficient than conventional commercial buildings. Okay, take a look at how one of these high-performance office buildings works. It's the Research Support Facility at the U.S. Department of Energy's National Renewable Energy Laboratory. The RSF integrates many energy-saving elements into a whole system. Take the lighting system, for example. This high-performance building makes the most of the sunlight. The structure's relatively narrow width allows the sunlight to better reach its interior spaces. This daylighting design combines innovative windows intelligently placed with creative interior design to maximize the use of sunlight and minimize excess heat. Here, south-facing windows gather the sunlight. The shades, or louvers, block out the heat in the summer, and in the winter, let in more warmth and light. Daylight, directed by louvers and reflected by light-colored interior surfaces, provides most of the lighting that occupants need, and along with additional lighting controls, reduces the lab's energy bill. Plus, the windows are well insulated. They're triple glazed and low E-rated, keeping the cold and heat outside where they belong. Also, some of the windows are electrochromic and thermochromic, so they automatically darken when direct sunlight hits them. An advanced building technology that controls brightness, glare, and heat. In addition, the windows work with a sophisticated underfloor air distribution system to provide fresh air. It works so well, this building doesn't even need traditional air conditioning. Okay, now take a closer look at a workstation. Brightly lit by daylighting, the workstations use energy-efficient laptop computers, LED desk lamps, and energy management systems to ensure they're saving energy. And as with many high-performance buildings, this one not only saves energy, but it also produces energy. Solar photovoltaic panels face south to collect the sun's energy and convert it to electricity. Commercial builders and developers are using this building, and others like it, as models for new buildings everywhere. And energy efficiency is not just for new construction. Many existing buildings are being upgraded to use a lot less energy. Even the Empire State Building has been retrofitted to save energy. Saving energy, saving money, with more comfort. Energy efficient commercial buildings.
Now, let's discuss now with that video that we watched. We could see how all the stakeholders that are involved, all the stakeholders, the architects, the engineers, even the users and the developers, they are involved in the decision making to ensure that their target, the energy saving targets, are met. Now, I want us to now throw it open. Just tell me one or two things that you gained from that short clip. One or two things. I can, if you want to talk, just raise up your hands and I will call on you. Anybody having the first go? Yeah, Oreolua.
Okay, so what I saw in the commercial building was that apart from them using really, really low amount of energy, they're also producing their own energy. So they have no footprint on the grid at all. So they are off the national grid.
Yeah, thank you very much. That means it's if architect and other stakeholders, if we can make the right decision, it's very possible that as we consume energy that we produce ourselves, we can still be able to supply energy to our neighbors. Because that's the current thinking in the built environment. Ikechukwu Ogu. Ikechukwu Ogu, you can talk now. Unmute yourself.
Okay. Hello. Okay. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And good morning, everyone. From the short video clip that we just watched, I learned that if we can adopt some of these measures, like some of the things that have been talked about from the video, it will go a long way to actually save energy and then design buildings that are really energy efficient. And then one thing I also gained from the video was the integration of some energy saving devices, which is a great idea if we can actually move in that direction. And what else? Okay, like Ori also talked about if we can design buildings that can actually generate energy by itself, I think it will go a long way to also solve the problem. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I call on you, Okpeyemi Fashipe.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
One thing I noticed while watching the video is the buildings that were being discussed on. Most of the architects and the planners and all, they have actually considered first the amount of energy that the building will consume, and to some certain extent how to modify certain changes and all that would affect or affect the consumption of energies in the building. And I want to relate it to our environment here in Nigeria, because there's this building that I was listening about, I was hearing about, where currently they estimated that they wanted to procure a solar powered inverter, which would cost about 5 million naira to install and finish the installation and all. And I think one of the plans that the inverter is going to serve is first, of course, like providing energy to the building, probably powering appliances and all, lighting and all that. But one thing I also noticed is most of our designs here are always kind of passive towards this energy efficiency. It's like we create the problem, then we now look for possible solutions to solve it. Because when you design and you did not take into account how you can utilize proper air conditioning without having to use the artificial ACs, proper ventilation, probably like the duct system that those people use, and then you now want to get an inverter to power air conditions, to power standing fans. So what you're just doing is you're just like responding passively to the problem you've already created. So I think it's also important for us to know that when we are designing, we are not just designing to like create the problems, then come back and try to use all these energy efficient methods to like reduce what we've created.
Thank you very much. You nailed it on the head. We should ensure that the decisions we make, they are the sustainable decisions. They are sustainable. Not the one that will aggravate the problem, not the one that will jeopardize the life and livelihood of the users, but the one that will make life to be easier for them. In that video, we could say that they didn't mass spaces together as it used to be in some trends ago. You can see that their buildings are in linear forms. They were just linked together with networks of walkways. The benefit of that is that it allows for cross ventilation. It allows for unobstructed airflow, and so many benefits that we can see from that. Let me call on Duel Olatubosun. Duel Olatubosun.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So I have more of a question. Like my contribution is going to be more of a question than what I gained. Like when I watched the video, I got a lot of things, a lot of innovative ways in which you can apply sustainability to buildings. But then they mentioned something in the video that it will save cost. I don't really understand that part because this part of the world economically we are not really buoyant, and most of those innovations like the triple glazed glass, the air supply that was mounted on the floor, those things they don't look like they're going to be cost effective. So I want to understand that concept, sustainability saving costs, with respect to the video.
Okay. Now, in the next video, I will answer that and you will know more about it in the next video. Now, when we talk about cost, what we are focused, let me give us a simple scenario. Now, if I want to buy a bedroom slippers, I can go to the shop. I will see many types of bedroom slippers I can buy. There are ones I can buy. I can easily go to Big W, to Woolworth, to pick a bedroom slippers for like $1.50, $2. Now, the challenge with that is that I'll buy the bedroom slippers. The bedroom slippers will be useful for me, but the challenge is that it will be useful for a limited period. But if I could get a bit more money and get a bedroom slippers for like $6, $7, $8, I can use that bedroom slippers for 3-4 years. Now, if you compare that scenario, if you look at the cost for in a short term and a long term, if I buy the one for $1, $1.50, I possibly use it for like 3 months, 4 months. Now, how many of the $1.50 do I need to cover use within 3 years? Now, what you are talking about in terms of cost is not the initial cost, is the long-term cost. Now, if at the initial cost, we might need to put in some of these interventions to ensure that the building is energy efficient. At the initial cost, it could be expensive, but if you look at the cost of the whole life cycle cost of the building on the long term, the sustainable, the energy efficient building will offer a better cost benefit. That is what we are talking about. It's not in the initial cost. Why will I design a building that will put in a lot of energy equipment into it, that the user of the building will pay around, let me say in Naira now, let me say the person will pay around, let me say 100,000 Naira for energy charges every month. But if I could use solar, all those things, and initially it could be expensive, but as the owner of the house, I might need to spend more at the beginning, at the initial period. But on the long run, I might be paying around, I might not need to pay up to 100,000 Naira to PHCN or to Benin Electric or whatever every month. I can be paying around 20,000 Naira. On the long run, on the long term, the energy efficient building offers better cost benefit compared to the building that is not energy efficient. Do you get me now, Duel Latubos?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now I call on Fashipe, Opeyemi Fashipe. Okay. Ikechukwu Ogu. Okay, David Peterson.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah. First, I would like to appreciate the opportunity and the platform where we are learning such a thing as this. In Nigeria, I believe generally the problem we have with designing buildings is there is no actual standardization when it comes to design. There's no you know no structure in place. I just started designing some buildings recently for some clients outside of Nigeria, and that was when I started actually learning and getting to discover that most of their designs are actually done to code. I started learning things like the American National Standards Institute, Americans for Disabilities Act, International Residential Code, everything aligning to a particular system, to a particular standard, making sure that their buildings are generally up to a certain standard. And that is something that we really lack in Nigeria. And I really appreciate the fact that schools are getting to come up with this and trying to integrate it back into the system. Um, for the green efficiency, I think the problem I mostly have, or I feel architects might really face with green design is trying to combine creativity, because as architects we are meant to be creative, we're meant to explore forms, shapes, and design. So trying to match that freedom of creativity with the restriction of sustainability, because the truth is that sustainability brings a lot of restrictions to our buildings, to make sure that we align to that standard, as I said before. So imagine that freedom of our creative expressions, creative ideas, and then trying to also make sure that we restrict all of our thoughts, all of our design process under the umbrella of sustainability is a problem I personally face as when designing a lot of my projects. So I would like to also I would like if I would appreciate if you can maybe shed more light on that. And then I feel the ultimate goal of energy efficient buildings is achieving net zero energy buildings, where buildings can actually produce the same amount of energy they consume. And I think there are a few examples all over the world that we have today. There are a few examples all over the world, and they are very nice. Imagine all buildings are actually net zero energy buildings, meaning that we get to actually preserve the world's ecosystem in balance, so that the future generations can meet it almost the same way that we are actually having it. So it's a very nice movement. It's a very great one. So please, I would like if you can help me shed more light on what I said earlier, sir. The issue of architects, having to match the freedom of creativity and then the restriction of sustainable design. All right. Thank you so much again, sir.
Thank you very much. I will respond that in a short time because I don't want to deny other people that have raised up their hands. Now, as an architect that focuses alone on creativity and all the rest, that just believe that I want my building to look beautiful alone, to look beautiful, to look nice, to be iconic within the neighborhood and all the rest. That architect need to possibly retrain himself, because architects, we don't. Now let's look at, there was a time I was in India. Who is that? Okay, let me meet you. Now, there was a time I was in India. I visited this building for the winemakers. I've forgotten the name, that was designed by, is it Le Corbusier or Mies van der Rohe? Of either of the three of them, I think it's Le Corbusier. I've forgotten it now. Now, when I entered that building, now these are people, these are architects that we've learned about, we've read, we've studied much of their buildings. I understood that even then, they design their buildings, they are beautiful, they are iconic, yet they are still sustainable. Yet they are still energy efficient. Now, what's now the challenge with we that we are the new breed of architects? That we now focus on aesthetics and we forget the functionality, we forget the sustainability of the buildings we are designing. We go for aesthetics to jeopardize thermal comfort of the users. I read about a building in Malaysia that was designed. The building is very nice. It's one of the iconic buildings within the city. But there's no one wants to rent that building. It's an office building because it has two challenges. The thermal comfort of the building of the spaces in the building is so poor. That means any office that will rent any space in that building will spend more to install AC, to ensure that the spaces are ventilated and not compressed. Now, that is an iconic building that people does not want to rent. Even now, I think they are considering to pull down the building because the building is not sustainable. That means as young architects, it's good that we want our buildings to look beautiful, but it's very good that it looks beautiful and sustainable. I hope I've been able to address that. Now, let me call on Owolabi Charles. Do you have a dog barking beside you or what?
Yes, sir. In my compound, sorry, sir.
Okay, can you move a bit?
Okay, I'm already moving away from there.
That's fine. We can have you now.
Okay, sir. As regards, I wanted to make my contribution concerning what the former speaker said about we not having the standard we work with in architecture in Nigeria. And I thank God you've been able to answer to some extent as regards that. I had the opportunity of working with some firm as well in Nigeria. And I realized most architects believe more in the aesthetics, like you said, forgetting the structural importance of the building. How would they build it? How is the engineer going to work at a particular place? By the time you finish your design, for example, where we have people prefer curves, that the basic corner of a building, how will they do the roofing and the other aspects which will give more problem than solution? The truth is the difference between architects and the structural engineer is we have all these design that will show the framework shows talks about the structural engineer and the aesthetics talks about the architect. There is a wide gap between an architect and structural engineer in Nigeria, which has made it look like there is no standard of designing. Like when I have the opportunity to work with some people as well outside the country, before a building can be designed, there must always be a meeting between all aspects of a building, starting with the quantity surveyor, with the architect, the structural engineer. But here in Nigeria, the architect design, they give the structural engineer to go and face the problem on his own. Look for how this thing will work. That's why when we end up on site, we have issues with architects and structural engineers saying this one can work. Like, it can work, this one can work, and this one can work. Because there is a distance between the architect and the structural engineer in the process of creating the building design. So I just believe the guidelines are there in Nigeria, but most architects are more concerned about the aesthetics, neglecting the importance of the structural. This, I don't know how to put it. Neglecting the importance of the structure. And put it that way. So that's my own contribution, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. I like your point that you point out this as someone has earlier pointed out as well, the standardization issue. Now, yes, Nigeria does not have an approved building code. Let me confirm that for us. The last building code that Nigeria, the one that Nigeria could have had, I think is still languishing with the National Assembly, something like that. I think that was during Olusegun Mimiko's period when he was the Minister for Housing and something that way. I think it has not been approved. That means, look at it now, for 15, 20 years ago, a building code has been sitting. It took years before the building code could be drafted, and it took years before it could find its way to the National Assembly for it to be ratified. And since then, over 15 years ago, it has not been ratified. That means we don't have an approved building code. Now, but let me confirm to us, despite that we don't have a building code, there are many structures that has been built within that period. Now, as an architect, we have this, let us go for this. Let us ensure that we have this kind of interventions in our designs. Now, I know that there's nobody that will say, there's no normal person that will say his building should not be accessible to disabled people living with disability. Let us ensure that your building is, by the time you design, even your designs in school, your design that your PP that you get, you design for your parents, ensure that the building is accessible for people with disability. Let me give us an example. Before I came into architecture, the house that my parents lived in was designed by it's not an architect, let me say he's a draftsman. Was designed by a draftsman. The building is that by the time you leave the gate and you want to enter the front entrance, you will climb, I think, around 5 steps. Now, there's no ramp that leads into the building. There's no ramp that leads outside the building. Even within the house, by the time you leave the lounge and you want to get into the dining, you will take another 2 steps. That means for an elderly person to live in that house will be unsafe. Now, my parents are getting aged. My mom is around 78. Now, this is the period that they need to walk in their house, walk around their house without the risk of falling, without the risk of tripping. Now, a few years ago, I had to, as an architect, now that I'm now an architect, I have to find a way to break those steps down to ensure that once you enter the house, you are on a level, no change in level, no change in level, no, nothing like this one. The living room is lower to the dining and the bedroom is higher to the, no, you are on the same level also. Because your building might need to be accessible for people that are aged, people living with disability. Even without that, someone that is sick, that needs to be on the wheelchair for some time, might need to use your building. That means the person will be, if it's just your lounge that is accessible to the person will be condemned to live in the lounge. And if the person needs to go to his bedroom, you would now need to get someone to take him into the lounge, into the bedroom, which that is another failure on the side of the architect. let us think about all this. Despite not having code, there are a lot of interventions that we can put into our buildings to ensure that we have a safe and secure and sustainable building. Thank you. That is now I want to show us a video now. It's about energy saving building, do it in Nigerian way. I don't know if any of us have heard about Demas Nwoko. Demas Nwoko is one of the elderly architects in Nigeria. Let us listen to it. I will share the video. I will share my screen with us now.
In Nigeria, reliable power and water supplies are generally only found in cities. So most villages depend on improvised solutions. Architect Demas Nwoko saw this as a challenge and came up with a new type of house. It's based on a traditional design that lets in plenty of sunlight. And the natural ventilation means it doesn't need fans or air conditioning. This keeps energy costs to a minimum.
Mud was the traditional building material, and it had a great insulating quality.
Rainwater collected from rooftops is stored in underground tanks, so residents don't have to depend on unreliable public water supplies. First constructed in 1978, the design has grown very popular.
Thank you. That is just one of the examples. That shows to us that it's very possible. It is very possible in Nigeria. As some of us have said, many of us, as Charles said, there's someone wants to design a building, a big apartment, and there's no conversation between the architect, the structural engineer, and the quantity surveyor. The architect just opened his laptop and began to join lines with lines and do walls, do windows, and all the rest. And by the time he's done, the architect, quantity surveyor, please get the BOQ out for me. That's not the best way. That is not even the right way to go about building design. And by the time they are done, they send it to the structural engineer, get the structural drawings out. There will always be failure in those kind of buildings. And someone is raising up his hand again. Because I want to go to the last slide. Please unmute yourself and talk. Oh, I need to. Victor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Good morning once again.
Thank you.
Most of my colleagues have said all that needed to be said when it comes to energy conservation, generation, and energy control. But I just feel there is just one very key point that is missing, which is the part that is to be played by the developers. Like we said earlier, this new means of trying to control our energy consumption is quite expensive in the onset. And the developers pays for mostly everything that we're going to be doing when it comes to construction. I don't know if there's a means of sensitization or orientation for developers to make them see it in our own point of view when it comes to means by which we should control our energy consumption. Because there are a lot of designs, a lot of building designs that have been made that are very, very, in fact, we have a lot of zero energy buildings, but all these designs are literally living in our systems. We are unable to really bring them to life because when we present some such to our developers, our clients, even if they have the money, they see it as, no, that's not what they want. This is actually what they want. And we are finding it difficult to actually present and actualize these ideas. So I don't know. There is really literally very little I can do about that because I don't have the access to developers that can really influence this change when it comes to making our building energy controlled. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, I will respond to that. Now I will, because I want to get you guys to think like a global citizen. I will give us scenario that is within Nigerian context, and I will share, at least I have experiences in building construction in the US, in Australia, in Hong Kong, in Japan, in like 6 other countries. I will give you us examples of 3 countries. Now in Nigeria, developer role in building construction is still young, is nascent. Let me put it that way. It's nascent in our system. What we have before is like someone going get a loan and designing his house, get an architect or a draftsman to do this, to do blah, blah, blah. But now, to have mega developers that are coming to, with their big money, to erect buildings all around Nigeria is still young in our system. That is why at this stage, everything is still haphazard. Everything is still, this one do his own, that one do his own, this one do his own. There's no order. There's no standardization in it. That is, I can say it's normal for a very young system, a country that is young in practicing that. But I believe that as Nigeria gain experiences in developing, in building development, in real estate development, there will be some standardization that will be setting in little by little. It could take a long period, but however long it is, there will be some standardization that will come in place very soon. Now, let me share with us experience from Australia. Now, in Australia, having the developing is really old here. It's not young, but what they have here is the local council. They have strict building development policy. That means a developer cannot just come and go and source for his own architect anywhere and say, okay, come and design this building for me and go for permit straight away. No. The local council will ensure that the person that is doing the design for the architect, for the developer, is a registered architect, has the license to practice in that local government, has gone for some training that are relevant for the kind of building the architect is designing. A lot of rules, a lot of policies in that aspect alone. Now, by the time they want to move to the site, the people that will be coming to assess the site, the policy is there as well that they are professionals. That means on that site, you will see architects that are on the side of the local council coming to inspect the site. You will see quantity surveyors coming to inspect the site. That is from the local council. Not that they are not relying on the report that is coming from the developer, but because developers will always cut corners. Anywhere in the world, developers will always cut corners because what they want to do is what they want to maximize their profits. Here in Australia, there are policies, there are standardizations, there are development controls in place to checkmate those excesses. that is from a system that is already old in real estate development. It's similar to what we have in United States, but I will talk about a very young country. I will talk about Hong Kong. When Hong Kong, Hong Kong was not all that developed before. When these developments came to being, they started to regulate their real estate sector at the early stage. Because Hong Kong is a very small country. That means they have to manage their land very well. Scarcity of land is an important factor that helped Hong Kong to regulate real estate development very well at the early stage. And they instituted a lot of policies, a lot of development control. If you have this kind of building, there are places where you can build it, there are places you can't build it. And there was still strict adherence to those development controls. And as we have in Nigeria, I know because the system is still young, everything is still haphazard. There might not be real development in that state now. There might not be real standardization, but later on, it will surely be standardized. It will surely, I believe that it will surely, because the failure in Lagos is an example that will surely wake some people up to ensure that things are put in place to checkmate those kind of experiences. Now, for the last contribution, I will call on Oluwafemi Pashesi. Are you there?
Sorry, sir, that was a mistake, sir.
Oh, okay. Is there any other question before we have the last discussion on the issue of the network issue? Now, since there is no other, okay, Akinyede Abiodun, your contribution, you will be the last one.
All right. Okay, sir. I would love to speak about one aspect that is kind of internal. Talking about the belief system of people now. I think it goes a long way to hinder the kind of progress that we're witnessing, mostly developing countries. There are some schemes and some methods, some principles that have been developed now in the modern times to, assist in finding solutions to most of the problems we have in our buildings. But yet, the kind of tradition, I won't say tradition, the kind of belief system that people have had in their lives for so long a time. Let's talk about privacy now, for example. Over there in developed countries, you will have buildings with compound with low fence. Now, they believe that the ability to see everywhere is a very important part of security. So, but over here, we believe in, having a very tall fence, having a very, landscape everywhere. There's no grass, nothing. And talking about privacy also, if you are working in a company, you ought to have it. You have to have an office for yourself. Before you can find a company with a general office, it is very, very scarce. All these top-notch company. So all these beliefs, all this idea system, I think they need to be corrected first. There should to be a sensitization or something before we can know that, okay, this principle and method we are bringing in would actually work efficiently. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. One simple solution to that. When there are policies in place and those policies are strictly adhered to, strictly implemented, let me put it that way, if there's a policy now that says, let's say in Lagos, that you can't design an office space that is single offices for people, that is open office system, and they strictly implement it, everybody that is developing every office building will fall in line. Policies and regulation will checkmate that. It will take long period before people's lifestyle, people's belief system will be returned. It will take long period. But the shortest way to address that is enact policies and strictly adhere to it. All those things will be checkmated. Now, the last discussion about the issue with network. Do we have the class rep on board? Oh, wow. Okay, now, which network is good in Akure? I know that MTN was good some times ago, but I don't know if it's still good. Is MTN good or Glo or Airtel or which one now? Can someone talk, please?
MTN is okay, sir.
MTN is okay.
Glow is also good. It just depends on the area where the person is staying, actually. There are some people that are living where we have the mast and everything, and we have a very good network like myself. So Glow is good for me. Both networks are good for me, actually.
Okay, which network is good in your 400 level studio?
None.
None?
No. Are you sure? I think Glow
I think Glow is
there.
actually okay. Glow is okay.
Yeah, Glow.
Network is very bad inside school generally, but some networks are still trying. Like
okay, but
Glow
Glow is
and
okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that means I can discuss with the class rep, but the challenge now is let's try that one out and see if we can get a fully furnished, a fully equipped, is it my Wi-Fi now or what now? Is subscribed Glow Internet access for you guys and a laptop or some. Do you have any screen in your studio?
Yes, we have projectors we can use, sir.
Okay, now if you can set that up with a projector, that means we'll have people in the class coming into class, and it will be set up and we can interact. Do you get? I will be here. I will be able to see everyone in class. If you want to talk, you can move close to the laptop, or if you can talk a bit louder from wherever you are, you can talk. I think that will solve the problem a bit. Do you have the? Is that okay for us?
Yeah.
No, the cost is not from you guys. Leave the cost out. What I will need you guys to do is to ensure that if you want to join the class for that period, that means you have come to the school. That means you have to enter the class as if you are attending a lecture, not the how will I put it now? Not the one that you can join on your own. I think that will solve the challenge. That will solve the problem a bit. Are we all good with that?
Yeah, I think
Yes,
that would
sir.
actually be nice. So people that actually have good internet can, if they want to attend the lectures from their homes, they can.
Yes,
and then those that have issues with
yes,
internet
can
access
come
can
to
now
school.
come down to school to
Yes.
now watch the lectures in class. I think that's
Yes.
a great idea, sir.
Yes, yes. Okay, myself, I will discuss with, I don't know why the class rep is not on board. Okay, I will, before the next live session, I will discuss with the class rep and we will find a way to get that out. Please, that means you need to have people that will do the logistics to set up the projector. Do you always have light, or do you have inverter in class now?
The light is fairly stable, sir, and I think the projector won't be an issue for now.
Okay. That means you have to get a laptop, a well-powered laptop, connect to the projector and shoot it on the screen, and we'll have our class. Okay, we'll sort that out. I will discuss with the class rep with that. And please, if you have, okay, someone is raising up his hand. If you want to still stay at home, okay, as the person has dropped his hand. If you want to stay at home to attend your class, it is good. It's okay for me. The essential thing is just ensure that you register in. Even you can't log in without registering. Just ensure that you register, because I need to track the attendance. But if you want to stay anywhere, if you want to stay in your car to attend the class, that is okay. If you want to stay in your room to attend the class, that is okay for me. And I think we'll sort that out before next. Thank you for your time this morning and have a wonderful day. If you have any discussion, you can pop it on the Canvas or on the WhatsApp group, and we'll have conversation on it. As someone is raising up his hand, Ikechukwu. Ikechukwu, you raise up your hand.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to raise the issue of those that are unable to access the Canvas app, which we like lodge a complaint on the WhatsApp group. How do we go about it, sir?
If you follow the
because I've tried logging so many times, and then this is an account I created myself, and then in the next minute I couldn't access it again, telling me wrong, invalid email or password. I tried resetting the password, and then they said they sent
they sent you
my mail, which I checked so many times, and nothing was there. So please, how do we go about that, sir?
Okay, can you re-enroll? Hello? Ikechukwu, if you can re-enroll from your hand, I will sort the double re-enrollment out at my hand here. If you can re-enroll, go ahead to re-enroll, and I will sort the double re-enrollment. If you have that issue, if you see that is re-enrollment, I don't know why you should have issues with it, because Canvas is easy, is very user-friendly. But if you have issues, just re-enroll. I will sort it out at my hand. I hope you're all good with that. Thank you very much. I will see you again next week.
You too, sir. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day, sir.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.